everybody, Blaine Seitz here, PGA Golf Performance Coach and creator of Mobilitas Golf. This video is by request from Steve Priest, who reached out to me on Facebook and had a great question about shoulder blade or scapula impingement and how that affects the golf swing, especially creating efficiencies on the downswing. So the first thing I want you to understand is that the shoulder blades are kind of a unique piece of our anatomy. We have, say, a hinge joint, such as the elbow or the knee, that more or less just moves forward and backward. Yes, there's a little side rotation in there, but more or less it goes two directions. And then we have, say, ball and socket joints, such as the shoulders or the hips, that can go all sorts of different directions. But the shoulder blades are kind of like this floating joint, where they can go up and down and a little side to side, and they need to move as the body moves. Now, one way to find out if you have shoulder blade impingement is to stand nice and tall and hold your arm out to the side with your elbow right out directly in line with the shoulder. So not out here, not up there, not down here, but more or less right in line. If you need somebody to help you out, go for it. Keeping your elbow in that place, how far back can you get your arm to externally rotate without losing your posture? Okay? Now, when we look at tour players, we're seeing somewhere in the ballpark of 120 degrees, right? 180 would be all the way flat, something like that, right? So if you come back and you're short, equal to your spine, there's some kind of a restriction. If you can get back here, that's great, but there's another step. And that's also to get into your golf posture, hold the arm up again and go back. If it's less, then you definitely have some shoulder blade impingement. Now, if you can get to 120 degrees, get into a golf posture, and still get to that same position in relation to the spine, then you're probably okay. But for the vast majority of us, that's not the case. So what we want to do is target the shoulder blades and the thoracic spines, the T-spine, which basically goes, let's just say, base of the rib cage to the base of the neck, and do some targeted mobility to increase the range of motion there. Why we'd want to do that is because in the top of the golf swing, we want to be able to set the club in a position where this elbow is hanging down. Now, I know what you're thinking. You take a look at somebody like Freddie Couples. His arm goes flying up here. Well, Freddie's a little different because his arm could get down here. He just chooses not to. So I want to make sure that you're doing it because of a choice, not out of necessity. So we want the arm to be able to fold into here, and so that our lead arm can also get high. The higher this arm gets, the more we can tuck this right elbow in, the more potential energy we have coming downward because our swing arc is greater. Now, if we're losing that efficiency through impingement, we may get into a position that looks like this, where our elbow is flying up, and that's going to most likely cause the club to come outward and down, making it harder to produce lag on the downswing. And we're going to have to create some kind of compensation in the swing. And anytime there's a compensation, we lose efficiency. When we're not efficiency, we're losing potential power. So the first thing is testing your elbow, both sides. How is it? So elbow out here, test your shoulder, go backwards. How is it? And next, I want to talk about how we can target those areas to improve the mobility to make the swing more efficient. All right, so now we understand that the shoulder blade is going to help create an efficiency in the golf swing by allowing us to load up in that externally rotated position, hold that angle and create lag, and then release the power. Okay, now as long as we're able to do that, our swing's going to become more efficient. Now, if you're still coming over the top because you can't separate your upper and your lower body, what we're about to talk about will help, but it won't be the solution. Okay, so it's a multifaceted process where we still have to be able to separate the lower body from the upper body to create a turn and separation. But assuming that we can do that, the next step is staying in this externally rotated position and then coming on down and creating lag. Now, here in front of me, I have a handful of different tools. They all do something very similar, although they target slightly different areas. We have something such as the Helix from Rad Roller. This is a really fantastic tool. It's their take on a foam roller. And I also have their Rad Roller itself, which is also known as a Peanut. And in both both of these cases, you'll see that there's a small channel in the middle for your spine to sit down, and that's to make sure that we don't have any direct compression on the spine. We don't want that. Now, Rad Roller, they make some incredible products. If you want to test the waters before you commit yourself, I've done it before where I tape 2 tennis balls together or 2 lacrosse balls using athletic tape. It gets the job done. It's not quite as effective, but you can at least see if you like it. The other side of the coin is to use a single ball. Again, I have one here from Rad Roller. It's a little bit softer than, say, a lacrosse ball, and it's a little bit smaller, so there'll be more acute pressure. But again, lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, they all work just fine. So I want to talk about 2 techniques using one of them with a single ball and one of them with a double ball, and they're going to be very similar. They just target some different areas. So let's start with the double ball, the peanut. Okay, so what I want is for this peanut to be just below my shoulder blades, then just on the shoulder blades, and then just above the shoulder blades. So 3 positions, and we start in each position and do a little bit different stuff here. So the first position is going to be just below the shoulder blades, right about here. And what I'm going to do is lay on the ground, applying a little bit of pressure, and then do a series of movements. The first one will be called hugs. The second one I call driving the bus. Then we have swimmers, and then we have snow angels. And I'll show you a couple of each of those. So ball just on the back. So there's an example of each of those movements in one of the positions. Obviously you do all 3 positions, so low on the back, mid on the shoulder blade, higher just above the shoulder blades. And you get about 10 repetitions of each movement in each spot, so it's going to take you about 5, upwards of 10 minutes to get through that. Now the other side of the coin is to do a single ball. So if I take something like this larger rad round, I can do a similar technique, but rather than going directly on the shoulder blades, I'm going to get the upper area of the trapezius muscles where they kind of tie in to some of the lat and deltoid area. So I'll show you what that looks like, and then what I'm going to do in that range is move my arm in some various areas, trying to break up any restrictions that I might have. You get the ball anywhere in this area. We apply some pressure, I raise my hips, I'm going to move my arm through some range of motion. Now, in all the techniques that we've done in this video, whether it's the single ball or the double ball, I don't care what the arms or the hands are doing. It's all about what are the shoulder blades doing around the ball. So we essentially want the shoulder blade to be moving and sliding and gliding over the implement that we're using. So whether it's the double ball or the single ball, you're looking at least 5 minutes to really make some change there. And when you're done, test yourself. If you were here and now you're here, you've improved. So it helps if you have somebody watching you, just so that you have a second pair of eyes, but I really hope that this helps point you in the right direction and gives you the understanding of how the shoulder blades work in the swing and how we can fix them if they are restricted. If you guys want more information like this video, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to make one for you.